Okay, so hey guys, welcome back to another Axel 72 video, and in today's video, we've got something a bit different. I mean, we're here with Slothboxx. It's a pleasure to have you on the channel, mate.
No, Russell, thanks for having me.
Indeed, and so we're just kind of going ahead and speak about different topics of boxing at the moment, and so we'll just go straight into it. So we're going to start off with the kind of fights from the weekend and just your thoughts on them. So we'll start off with the Canelo victory versus John Ryder. What was your thoughts on that fight?
I think it was as expected, really. John, he's a tough guy. We know what he brings to the table.
Yeah.
I think the nose going so early, I think that did hinder his performance a little bit, maybe held him back a little bit. Couldn't breathe for 90% of the fight, which, like I say, doesn't help out at all. I think with Canelo, for him, it was his first fight back since surgery, first fight back since a loss. He was getting emotions together, really. It was a case of getting out of there. Getting 12 rounds under his belt is a good thing for Canelo Alvarez, I think. And like I say, against a tough opponent like John Ryder, it's only a good thing for Canelo. And he got his homecoming in what was really not too much of a battle.
No, of course. And so, I mean, there's a few names going around who might be next for him. There's a Beterbiev, Bivol rematch, Benavidez, possible matchups there. Is anyone then which you prefer the most?
I mean, if I was in Canelo's position, I'd be avoiding all of them.
Okay.
I think the best fight for him would be Benavidez. Again, you've got that sort of Mexican link, that Mexican rivalry. Benavidez recently had Mike Tyson come out and say this is the guy who's going to beat Canelo. So would Canelo Alvarez want to prove Mike Tyson wrong in that sense as well? So I think there's a lot there to that fight. I think another good one would be David Morrell Jr.
Yeah.
No one's really mentioned his name. Obviously, he's only really a handful of fights into his career, but at an outstanding level already so early on in his career. But no, I think for Canelo, he's got the marketability and he's got the name to be able to really fight anybody without a name and still earn enough money to live comfortably and still sell out. So for him, it'll be almost hand-picked opponents, really. He can fight anybody sort of top level because he is a pound for pound great.
Of course.
You know, let's not deny the fact that he is unbelievable. A lot of talk about him being on decline. No, I don't see that at all. You know, he's still early 30s, coming into his prime. He's just been around for a long, long time. Turned pro at 15.
Yeah.
I think people forget that.
Yeah, of course. And so just to move on to the other kind of big fight of the weekend, we had Joshua Buatsi making his return against Paul Stepien, and I mean, it was a comfortable performance, nothing crazy, but comfortable. And so what do you make of that fight?
Again, I think it was one of those as expected. It didn't set anybody off. It wasn't real excitement as such, and people want to see that. I think that's the problem. I think Fight Disciples recently come out with their podcast and said, you know, they was all in on the Josh Buatsi hype train when he turned over. 17 fights in, they're well off it now. Not interested at all. I think that's a little bit harsh on Buatsi because all he can do is get in the ring and fight who's in front of him.
Of course.
What I would say is I think to keep that interest and keep him being relevant, the only fight to make really is Anthony Yarde.
Yep.
I think that will bring more interest than any world title fight will because it's that British rivalry. It's that one that's been there his whole career. So for me, I think that's the fight I've got to make next.
Of course. And so moving on now, we'll go on towards the kind of big speaks about the heavyweights at the moment. And so, I mean, we've got this talk of a possible Saudi tournament going on. And so what do you think that will happen in the first place?
I'd be very surprised. It depends how much money is being thrown at it. I think it'd be great for boxing. There's a lot of talk as well. If anyone fights before December and they lose their place in this tournament, which I think is rightly so. However, are all four guys going to want to wait until December to fight again? I don't think so. I think that's too long. It's going to ring rust by the time it comes around to December. So I think there's potential problems there. But I think it's for fans. It's a win-win. It's, you know, the best fighting the best. It's the four best heavyweights out there fighting against each other. I think there's nothing not to love about it as a fan.
Indeed. And I mean, just to kind of latch on to that point about possible matchups in the summer for the heavyweights, Tyson Fury's got a possible fight ahead, possibly been linked with a Zhang, but Zhang's also got that rematch with Joyce. And so is there any fight which you'd like to see for Fury?
It's difficult. I think Zhang or Joyce would have been the one to make. I don't hate the Ruiz fight. I think the Ruiz fight's a good option. I think he's, you know, obviously proven that he's at that level. It's just if he's got the hunger and desire still.
Yeah.
I think that's where he's gone wrong sometimes in his career with the Anthony Joshua rematch. But I mean, apart from Usyk, there isn't anybody even remotely close to Tyson Fury. So it's difficult to say who you'd like him to fight, because 99% of fighters, if not all of them, he's going to beat. So this is the problem. He is at the minute the man at heavyweight division. Usyk, a very close second. It's an intriguing matchup. That's the one everyone wants to see. It's the only real fight anyone should be interested in, really.
Of course. And so just to now move on to another big upcoming fight, we've got Haney versus Lomachenko in just a couple of weeks' time now. And so what's the kind of early prediction for that?
For me, it's a difficult one to call. Everyone's sort of written off Lomachenko. But let's not forget who this man is and what he's done.
Of course.
I mean, the only thing really that we can say is you can't beat Father Time. Has Father Time caught up with Lomachenko?
Yeah.
Yet to see. Haney is I'd say elite athlete. I think he is unbelievable. He is certainly up there in one of the best in the world right now. Not just in his division, in boxing, full stop. So it's a tough fight, but it's a great fight. These are fights that the fans should be wanting to see. These are ones that people shouldn't be saying, oh well, Lomachenko's old, it's one-sided, etc. Just enjoy the fight. Let's be happy these fights are being made. We say we want to see Fury Usyk. Let's enjoy Haney Loma.
Of course. We've just got two more topics for you, mate. And so we've got the kind of Conor Benn situation. Of course, he's been suspended by UCAD at the moment, but there's still possible talks of a June, maybe July kind of return. Do you think that might end up happening or not?
I don't. I believe now with Wilder being involved, the minimum ban is a 2-year sentence. So if that goes through and they do suspend him, he cannot fight for 2 years. At least, that's the minimum they give out to any athlete, because they're not just in boxing, they're in sport worldwide. So I can't see it happening, but at the same time, money talks. In boxing, we know it's, go back to the 30s, 40s, even the 20s, boxing's always been corrupt. You've got to be still. So it's one of those where money does talk, and will they get away with it? Probably. I hope not. I do think he's guilty. I don't know if or not he was aware of taking what he's taken, but the facts are he's failed 2 tests. And listen, I like Conor Benn. He's a nice guy. He's a good fighter. He's marketable, which I think is why he's still in the position of potentially getting fights. I use this example recently. Liam Cameron was a Commonwealth champion from Sheffield. He was caught with something like 0.03% of cocaine in his drugs test. Now, because he wasn't marketable, because he didn't have a big promoter, he had no backing behind him, he got a 4-year ban for something that was not a performance-enhancing drug. Now, Conor Benn has failed 2 performance-enhancing drug tests. That's proven, that's facts. You can't deny that.
Of course.
Whether he knowingly took it or not, that is facts. Yet, they're saying he might get away with just a 2-year ban. They might not ban him at all. Not only that, will they backdate it? If they backdate it, you're already over a year into the ban. So he's only going to be banned for another 12 to 9 months. So I think if your face fits in boxing, that's a lot of it. And I say he is a sellable fighter. He's somebody who has big promotional backing, and I think he will fight sooner than people think. But I hope he does get the ban that he warrants, really.
Of course. And so just on the off chance, of course, that he does get this ban, and it's quite a big ban, 2-year ban. I mean, we've seen certain fighters get bans and then come back. What do you think would be the case if he did get maybe a year or 2 ban? Do you think he'd be able to come back into a big promotion, or do you think he'd have to build his way back up again?
I wouldn't be surprised if he just came straight back in and was only 1 or 2 fights away from a world title fight. Like I say, he's marketable. I mean, we've seen he's been handed a ban, or been suspended, I should say, by Wilder. And the WBC have increased his ranking from 8 to 7 in the world. He's not fault. He's failed 2 drugs tests, yet he's still gone up in the rankings. So I think that says everything you need to know about rankings and organisations. I see him. I mean, he's still young. He's 26, 27, 28 maybe tops. So he's still a young man. He's still got a long, long time. He's not even hit his prime yet, don't forget. So, a year or 2 out, he's going to come back into his prime. He's got a long career ahead of him. And like I say, I wouldn't be surprised 2-3 fights in, shake off that ring rust, and they'd be in a world title fight.
Okay, and so just the kind of final topic we've got here to speak about, we've got the kind of influence of boxing. I don't know what's your thoughts on that. We've got the fight between KSI and Joe Fournier this weekend, and how do you think that matchup goes?
For me, I'm not the biggest fan of it. I think it's a separate sport and it should be kept that way, which I think it is. I think they are doing so. It's entertainment. They've got a market and they're tapping into it. They're using a YouTube crowd, and I think they're very, very clever. I think they're very, very good businessmen. Joe Fournier, never been a fan of his, if I'm honest with you. I don't rate his boxing ability. He's just some nightclub owner from in America who put some gloves on and he's built up a padded record. I think the influencer side of things will suit him, the same as Idris Fergo. I think they're well suited to that market. I think they're in the right place for that. In terms of how I think it goes, I think KSI wins. KSI might even stop him later on. I can't see a world where KSI loses. However, if he does lose to a professional boxer, which Joe Fournier technically is, after Jake Paul's lost to Tommy Fury, where does that go and where does that lead for influencer boxing? Because that will now be their two, poster boys of influencer boxing losing to actual boxers. So do they stay in their lane and continue fighting other influencers and other YouTubers, TikTokers, etc.? Do they still try and creep into the boxing world? I don't know. I don't know how big their future will be afterwards in terms of boxing. But like I say, in terms of entertainment, it could be their own little version of WWE. They're going to make money from it regardless.
Of course they will. Okay, well, that's kind of all the topics I've got here to talk about today. Of course, you've got the Slothboxing YouTube channel. Is there anything else you'd like to shout out? No,
that's it. I mean, thank you for your time. Thanks for having me on. Hopefully everyone watches this. Share it, like it, subscribe to your channel.
Thank you.
And all the best.
All the best indeed, man. And so if you are new around here and you haven't subscribed, please do so. Like the video if you need like video, and thanks for watching.